Doesn't that look nice? That's Aruba, where it's 82 degrees, but it's 5 hours from here. AAA predicts a near record number of Americans will go out of town for Memorial Day weekend, and more of us are taking shorter, more frequent trips. Conde Nast Traveler calls these micro vacations. They tend to involve places you can get to quickly, more often, and by spending less money. Mark Ellwood is contributing editor for Conde Nast Traveler. Mark, good morning. Welcome.
Good morning.
How is a micro vacation different from a long weekend trip?
I think, that's a good question. I think often this is a little bit like tapas for travel. Okay. I like to say, the sort of small plate trend. Yeah. You're basically, a long weekend, I think, you'd go somewhere really nearby or somewhere you're very familiar with.
Right.
These micro vacations are like, oh, I can get 3 hours, 4 hours maybe on a direct flight that didn't used to exist. There's a lot more connections, so it's widening your options.
I will sometimes make a decision based on a direct flight. But are they satisfying, these micro vacations? And what constitutes how many days is a micro?
I would say it's about three or four days. Yeah. That counts as a micro vacation.
That's pretty substantial, I gotta say.
Is it?
I was gonna say, and if you look, there are I think it was about 75% of Americans said they would tack on an extra day to a weekend trip now. Yeah. So they're thinking a little bit bigger. And I think we all deserve it. It makes a big difference. You do a few of those instead of one big trip a year.
So when you're booking, if you book for a long vacation, you often get a better rate per night. Mm-hmm. Are hotels playing nice when it comes to the micro bookings?
Here's the thing. I would always suggest, if you're staying more than 2 nights, you can always call a hotel and negotiate. You can always say, hey, I'm going to stay on Monday night when you may not be quite so busy. Can you work with me on the rate? If you're polite, if you ask nicely, you'd be surprised how flexible. They want you to spend their money there.
So what are some of the top destinations for like these 3-day trips?
Well, so we look every year, we do something called the hot list, which is where we look at the buzziest hotels in the world. And what we noticed was that a lot of them now were opening near major destinations as well as in them. Mm-hmm. So we've got an amazing hotel in the Berkshires called the Inn at Kenmore Hall, not in Boston, but reachable from Boston.
Right.
We've got the Hotel Joaquin, which is this wonderful sort of funky upscaled motor inn, which is in Laguna Beach, not in LA. So you get that little. And then if you want to go, if you're in Europe or you want to go to London, there's Heckfield Place, which is basically Downton Abbey. It's where Harry and Meghan had their baby moon. You can stay there just outside London.
All right, Mark, thank you for joining us with your purple shoes. He goes, yes, I wanted to be a little cheeky today. And Tony's actually wearing shoes as opposed to
I am.
shoes,
normally I'm a sneaker guy.
It's a big deal.
Yeah.
Okay.
I still got the funky socks. I've already heard from neighbors saying, take some advice on those.
No, it's
Thank you. Good to see you.
You too.
You can hear more of CBS This Morning on our podcast. That is available, of course, wherever you like to download your podcasts. And if you stick around, next we'll look at all that mattered this week. You're watching CBS This Morning.